going on, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the German Bear podcast. And today we want to take a look at the potential replacement for Eddie Jackson moving forward at the safety position and take a look at a couple free agents available in this year's free agency that the Chicago Bears should definitely consider. The 2024 NFL free agency offers so many great safeties. Over the last couple of days, a lot of good safeties have been released by teams and just stacked up this big free agent market for the position. I know the draft is also very popular, but honestly, with that many great free agents, the Chicago Bears can get either young players for the future for many, many years, or also bring in some veteran options to be team leaders and take over that position at the safety spot, free safety spot, for 1 or 2 more years until the Chicago Bears maybe develop someone under their wings or draft someone then as soon as their contracts expire. But for me, the free agency offers so many great players at that position. I think it's definitely worth a shot at one of those players. And even though the Chicago Bears do need a safety, maybe also develop a young safety, I feel like with the limited draft capital that the Chicago Bears do have this year, they'll probably look into, or I would look into, just getting bigger at the offensive line and defensive line, just building through the trenches. So I think a veteran option at the safety position wouldn't be too bad. And we mainly want to focus on 3 guys today. We got some honorable mentions at the end of the video, but 3 guys really struck out to me and would be great options to improve the team immediately and make this defense an elite one. And I don't want to waste any more time. Let's get right into it and start talking about the first guy on today's list, which is going to be Xavier McKinney, formerly known for the New York Giants. And after watching a bit of his tape, Xavier McKinney turned out to be my favorite option in this year's free agency for the safety market. He's only 24 years old, was drafted in the 2020 draft by the New York Giants in the 2nd round out of Alabama and has developed into an absolute weapon for the New York Giants defense. Now, to get it out of the way right away, for his contract projection, PFF projects a 4-year, $13.5 million deal on average per year, so a 4-year, $54 million total deal with $30 million guaranteed. Also, Spotrac has a market value of only $10.4 million a year. I think that's a little bit too low, but for a 24-year-old player with so much upside and so many great qualities, I think $13.5 million on average would be pretty solid for the Chicago Bears. And you improve that secondary by so much. Even though we have a very solid secondary, with Eddie Jackson leaving, you need someone that can fill out that role, and Xavier McKinney 1,000% does that. I think that's a fair value deal, and for him as a player, he's such a versatile guy, the total opposite of Eddie Jackson. Eddie Jackson was mainly forced to play free safety, roam around, and that was his game, but he was never a great player in the box. Now, Xavier McKinney, when you watch his plays, he is in the box. He's back deep. He can roam around. He can fly around. He has great recovery speed. He makes the tackles at the line of scrimmage. He can work through traffic, through blocks, and get rid of those. Has good block shedding there. He's a nice tackler. And then the range that he offers was probably the biggest thing that popped off of tape for me. As I said, he has great recovery speed. He's a smart player. He recognizes things fast, very fluid hips to make things happen. And yeah, he can play back deep. Giants used him back deep and in the box. That's the versatility that you want for a guy that you pay that much for, especially at a position that is less valued in the league, right? Safety. But Xavier McKinney is the perfect option to have long-term success at the safety spots. And him and Jaquan Brisker will be a dynamic duo that I can only imagine how good it's going to be. But yeah, Xavier McKinney, definitely my favorite option in this year's free agency because he's still young. He probably will get a little bit of money, but that's 100% justified because he's a versatile guy that will make the defense absolutely elite. As we now want to move on to the guy number 2 on today's list, which is more of a veteran option, but I was very surprised that he's going to be a free agent, and Justin Simmons, formerly known for the Denver Broncos. Now, Justin Simmons is, unlike Xavier McKinney, not as young. He's a 30-year-old safety, just like Eddie Jackson, but he is still playing at an elite level. And this is not throwing shades at Eddie Jackson. It's just facts here because Justin Simmons, over the last 3 years in a row, he was a All-Pro second team member. I think he has overall 4 All-Pro second teams. Was never first team, but still, he's an elite level safety. I think everybody knows Justin Simmons and what he's able to do. And he, just like Xavier McKinney, is a very versatile safety that can come down and man coverage players and lock them down, tight ends, whatever it is. He can play back deep and take over the entire third on a cover 3 role. I mean, he's a very smart player, fast downhill, good tackler, and for me, this is the perfect option to get him on a 2-year deal, get him, I don't know how much money he wants, but projected spot trick wise, contract projection, it's a $11.1 million average annual salary, so it will be a 2-year, about $22 million deal, which is, I think, absolutely fair. It ranks 6th overall among free safeties, and I think for a player with his accomplishments in the leagues, that's absolutely fair, and would be an immediate upgrade still over Eddie Jackson because, as I said, he still plays on an elite level. Now, what you could do is draft a safety in this year's draft or next year's draft to learn under his wings the free safety position and take over as a leader on the team. But from a veteran standpoint, Justin Simmons is a guy that immediately turns us into an elite defense as well. He's an incredible player with so much range, so many intangibles, and offers that veteran presence, that captain mentality into the Chicago Bears defense as well, which we definitely still lack in the secondary. Yes, Jalen Johnson got a big contract extension, and he's going to be that guy for many, many years for the Chicago Bears, but he's still also a very young player. So Justin Simmons adds some experience, some valuable experience to the Chicago Bears roster, and is an incredible player that I was super shocked that he was released by the Denver Broncos, but he would be a great option that would be here for 1 or 2 years for players to develop under as well, and would be a phenomenal option to get better quickly on the Chicago Bears secondary. As we move on to the last guy on today's list that I want to talk about, which is also a veteran option, and Quandre Diggs, formerly known for the Seattle Seahawks. And Quandre Diggs is the oldest player on today's list, 31 years old, 8 years experience, was drafted in the 6th round back in 2015. Out of Texas, and Quandre Diggs is a very intriguing player, just like Justin Simmons, from the standpoint of bringing in a veteran option that can be a captain, a team leader on the secondary and in the entire defense, and just have a certified role as a free safety. He can play deep. He can still roam around even though he's 31 years old. He hasn't lost a single step yet, and he is explosive coming downhill as well. I mean, he will recognize stuff really quickly. He will shoot downhill and make some big tackles. Now, he's not the best when it comes to in-box safety. I think that's what we have Jaquan Brisker for, and as I said, Xavier McKinney can offer you both, so he has more versatility, but Quandre Diggs for 1 or 2 seasons would be an amazing veteran option that wouldn't be too expensive. Now, for his deal, I don't know how much he's going to earn because there's no real projection by PFF or Spotrac, but his previous contract, he earned about $13 million per season. I think that could easily drop down to about 10 to 11 million for him would be probably fair, but that's also very much okay for the Chicago Bears to spend that money. You upgrade the secondary, you're bringing a veteran presence to maybe teach younger guys that you draft or bringing through undrafted free agents. You teach them a lot with Quandre Diggs. They can learn from a pro's pro, so that's a great opportunity for the Chicago Bears as well. And with that being said, that rounds off our 3 safeties that we in depth want to look at today, but it's still time for some honorable mentions, and I think that's absolutely crazy what's actually available in this year's free agency market. I mean, when we look at safeties overall, not just free safeties, it's not the best option, but Jamal Adams is still a big house name here that you could mention. Kevin Byard was brought in by the Chicago Bears actually for a visit, and I wouldn't mind him at all as well. He's also 30, just like Eddie Jackson, but has played on an elite level for so many seasons back to back to back, especially for Tennessee, so he would be a great option to bring in. Tracy Walker from the Detroit Lions is a very solid option too. Jordan Whitehead for the Jets is a player that offers a lot of versatility in the box and playing back deep too. Jaron Kearse would be more of a box safety, so he's probably not the best option, but he could still be a great third safety for the Chicago Bears to bring in. Darnell Savage from Green Bay, he's a good free safety, lacks tackling ability a little bit, and is pretty bad in the box, but for a free safety that can only roam around in the back end of the field, I think that will be still a pretty good option. And yeah, Overall, as I said, the Chicago Bears should definitely consider bringing in at least one or two free agent safeties to just fill out that room because we definitely lack depth. And with Jaquan Brisker, we have a great building block, but adding to that will be absolutely phenomenal. And with that being said, that's the end of the episode. Free agency starts soon enough so you can be excited for so many film room episodes, just analyzing who the Chicago Bears brought in and looking at the All 22 tape. I can't wait to do that for hopefully maybe Xavier McKinney, digging even more into his tape. But yeah, like and subscribe if you liked the video. Check out Instagram and Twitter if you want to as well. And as always, guys, bear down.